If this video has found you, it is no coincidence. Your soul is already prepared, though you may not yet realize it. There exists a concealed method within the very fabric of creation, a force that the ancients referred to as the sacred word. This force is still at work today, influencing everything you feel, think, and say. We are not discussing positive affirmations or the repetition of memorized mantras. Instead, we are delving into a living, creative energy that transforms vibration into reality. You are constantly using this energy, often without even knowing it. But what happens when you learn to harness this force with intention? What occurs when your words cease to be mere noise and become pure alchemy? In this video, you will discover why only those who are truly ready can access this method, and why the word never fails. It simply waits for you to awaken enough to create consciously. Stay with me until the end, for what is about to be revealed may change the way you speak, think, vibrate, and manifest everything. Words, in my not-so-humble opinion, are our most inexhaustible source of magic, capable of both inflicting injury and remedying it. You were created in the image of the Word, not as a symbolic figure, but as a living extension of the very creative vibration. From your first breath, from the first beat of your heart, something inside you carries this divine inheritance. Yet, almost no one remembers it. The world we were born into did not celebrate this gift. On the contrary, it taught us to doubt it. From childhood, we have been exposed to a multitude of external voices: parents, teachers, religious figures, TV shows, neighbors, friends, systems, voices that kept repeating that we are weak, guilty, sinful, not enough. Little by little, we started shaping ourselves to fit into what was expected of us. We copied patterns, mimicked emotions, took on fears that weren't even ours, and without realizing it, we forgot who we were before we learned to obey. If you had been born in another culture, you would probably believe in different truths, have different fears, different images of God. Maybe you would worship fire, rivers, the sun. Maybe you would meditate from a young age, or see yourself as part of the whole. But you grew up where you did, and because of that, you inherited a reality full of guilt, blind obedience, and fear of your own light. Not out of malice, but because everyone around you was also copying realities they did not create. It was the only way they knew. When they told you that you were a sinner, what they were doing was much deeper than it seemed. They were cutting off your connection to the Word. Someone who believes they were born wrong will never dare to speak like a creator. Someone who thinks they carry guilt, fear, or inadequacy cannot use their words with faith. The word withdraws when the soul is ashamed of itself, and that is when disconnection sets in. The word that should flow naturally starts to come out as self-criticism, judgment, complaints, and whining. Words become reflections of fear, and fear, once embedded in language, becomes a vibrational pattern. That is why so many people feel blocked. They keep verbalizing everything that holds them back. These beliefs are not just ideas. They are codes that were installed in you without your consent. They dictate what you believe you deserve, what you think is possible, how far you will go. And the scariest part is that they hide in the smallest things, in the way you apologize for existing, in the fear of shining too bright, in the habit of shrinking yourself so you do not bother others. If you grew up believing that talking about yourself is ego, that wanting more is a sin, that trusting your own intuition is pride, then your connection with the creative word was blocked from early on. Not because it stopped existing, but because you were convinced that you were not worthy of using it. And that is one of the quietest forms of spiritual imprisonment. The good news is that the word was never lost. It just went quiet, waiting for the right moment to be remembered. But before it can emerge with strength and clarity, you need to identify what is still blocking your expression. Those blocks almost always take the shape of inherited beliefs, copied beliefs, beliefs that, when repeated like unconscious mantras, build invisible walls around your power. And that is where something begins to reveal itself. Because if you were disconnected from the word as a child, programmed to silence what you felt and repeat what you were told, there is a dormant force inside you that was never erased, only silenced. A force that pulses beneath all inherited beliefs, all emotional blocks, and all unconscious fears. And that force is directly connected to a word you know but have never truly understood. It has been said thousands of times in movies, magic tricks, and childhood jokes. You have heard it, and maybe even repeated it, without knowing you were pronouncing a fragment of one of humanity's oldest vibrational formulas, a word that, contrary to what it seems, was never created to entertain, but to create, to command, to open portals. A word hidden in plain sight, and because of that, almost no one recognizes it. But it is still alive, and it carries one of the lost keys of true spirituality, an ancient code that, before being ridiculed by modern culture, was chanted in temples, in secret rituals, in mystery schools, where the word was understood as sacred technology. This word comes from Aramaic, a root language that predates even biblical Hebrew, and whose structure is not symbolic but vibrational, a living language born from the frequency and geometry of sound. And this code, when pronounced correctly, activates the bridge between thought and matter. It is the crossing between what still exists in higher realms and what you wish to manifest here and now. But this code was hidden, disfigured, because those who understand the power of the word know that whoever controls the word controls reality. That is why the knowledge was diluted, replaced with distraction, superficiality, and noise. The word became a trick, the vibration became a show, and the word lost its origin in the mouths that forgot how to speak with the soul. But the initiates always knew this word was not a joke. It was a key, a command, a reminder of what you truly are. And even now, in this exact moment, it is still vibrating between the lines of reality, waiting for you to recognize it, for you to remember. Because this word does not act alone. It needs intention, a prepared body, a compatible vibrational field. And when all of that aligns, when heart, mind, and word come into sync, the word becomes a sharp arrow that pierces the invisible planes of existence. It breaks through layers, dissolves blocks, and starts shaping the reality around you. And that word is abracadabra. But before you think it is just a simple expression or something too mystical to apply to real life, understand this. In ancient Aramaic, abracadabra means I create as I speak. And it is not poetry. It is a map, a vibrational password, a reminder that your voice is a creative tool. Every time you open your mouth, you are sending commands to the invisible field, and the universe, as a living consciousness, responds to the frequency of what you are vibrating as you speak. That is why it was used in rituals, in healing practices, in magical circles, in deep manifestation processes. The ancients chanted abracadabra like someone activating an access code, like someone opening a crack in time, because they knew this word carried within it the oldest code of creation, the word that creates realities. But now you know, abracadabra was never kids' magic. It has always been spirit magic, and it is still active, still reverberating, still responding, but only for those who dare to speak with an awakened soul. But why exactly did the ancients use this word in moments of spiritual transition? What happened in the body, the mind, and the spirit when it was spoken with pure intention? Because the word, when not supported by an integral vibrational field, loses its creative power and becomes just noise. And that is exactly why the ancients treated the word like a ritual. They knew that sound was not just sound. It was a portal, an energetic movement, a key of transition between states of consciousness. You did not just say any word in any way. There was preparation, silence before sound, alignment before expression. They did not use words as mere tools for expression. They used them as instruments of transformation, especially in moments of passage, in rites of death, rebirth, initiation, healing, and crossings between worlds. In those moments, the word became blade and bridge. It cut the old and inaugurated the new, and because of that, it could not be used carelessly. When an initiate was guided through a true spiritual school, they did not begin by speaking. They began by listening, observing, emptying. Because only after the body was cleared of noise, the mind quieted, and the heart centered, could the word be used with real intention. But this quintessence does not activate in the middle of chaos. It does not appear in the rush, in automatic speech, in emotions that hijack us. It rises when everything inside you aligns, when the body is grounded, the mind is quiet, the emotion is clean, and the word is alive. From that point on, you no longer react like before. You create, you direct, you shape. It is subtle, but firm. When it awakens, it does not shout. It holds. It does not impose. It radiates. It is the presence that speaks before the words, the vibration that comes before action. It is the spark that reminds you deep in your chest that you did not come here just to survive, but to manifest, to give form to the invisible that pulses inside you since before you had a name. And maybe you have never heard of it like this before. Maybe you felt it in moments of extreme clarity, of unexpected peace, of love that did not depend on anyone. In those moments, you were vibrating the fifth essence, and even if you have forgotten it, it never left you. It was just waiting for the moment when you would stop trying to control the world with your eyes and start feeling it with your soul.